Well, this morning, the historic church in Charleston, which was the scene of a deadly shooting last week, is hosting its first service since the tragedy. And those bells that we showed you should be going off right now on the East Coast. Meanwhile, new details here are surfacing about the accused killer. Now, CBS's Jeff Pegues reports from South Carolina.
The author, presumably 21-year-old Dylan Roof, says he was not raised in a racist home or environment, and that the event that truly awakened him was the Trayvon Martin case. He says it prompted him to search for information online, where he read Wikipedia articles and extremist websites. Eventually, he decided it was obvious that Zimmerman was in the right, and I have never been the same since that day. The more than 2,400-word manifesto details the author's hatred toward blacks, Hispanics, and Jews. Toward the end, the author writes, "Someone has to have the bravery to take it to the real world, and I guess that has to be me." The website, lastRhodesian.com, was created in February, and in addition to the manifesto, it also includes several photographs of the accused mass killer, burning an American flag and pointing a gun at a camera. Investigators believe Roof walked into Emmanuel AME Church, sat among the parishioners during the Bible study meeting, stood up, pulled out a handgun, and began shooting. All 9 victims were shot multiple times.
Active shooter, multiple people down.
One of the survivors and several family members of the victims face Roof in a bond hearing on Friday.
Tawanza Sanders is my son, but Tawanza was my hero.
Tawanza Sanders' mother, Felicia, watched her 26-year-old son die. Sanders' friend and local attorney Andy Savage was with her in the bond hearing and says he is one of the few people who has heard her account of the mass shooting.
Why do you say she's the key witness?
Because she is the adult witness. Felicia was under the table with her 11-year-old granddaughter, conversed with her son who had been wounded, who said to her mom, "I've been shot in the head." And his last gasp of breath was crawling towards his auntie, who was the oldest woman, the oldest victim who was killed. And as he proceeded crawling across the sanctuary floor, he was gunned down with multiple shots to the head. That's what his mother witnessed.
As painful as it must have been for her to talk about this, that's what she told you?
Yes.
That was CBS's Jeff Pegues reporting. Now, bells at more than a dozen churches in Charleston are expected to ring at 10 a.m. Eastern Time to remember the lives lost. The outrage over the Confederate flag in Charleston continues. Hundreds of demonstrators protested outside South Carolina's state building yesterday, demanding for the Confederate flag to be taken down. The American and South Carolina state flags outside the Capitol building in Columbia were lowered to half-staff in mourning of the 9 black parishioners who were killed. But the Confederate flag, which gunman Dylan Roof wore and brandished, still flies high, sparking anger and outrage across racial and political lines.
When neo-Nazis wanted to find a place to spread their hate and their filth, they thought, this looks good. This place, with this flag, we can spread our message here.
State law prohibits the Confederate flag from being lowered. Lawmakers would have to vote to remove the flag. An Albuquerque family is breathing a sigh of relief this morning after a dad's lifeline to getting cancer treatments was found. It's a story we first brought you Friday night on News 13. James Ganz is a father of 3 with stage 4 prostate cancer. On Thursday, his only car that he uses to get to and from the hospital was stolen. We're told less than an hour after our report aired, the car was spotted by a viewer at the biopark, and it saved a very special Father's Day weekend for the family at Cliffs.
This is what it was all about, was finding the car so that we could take Dad for Father's Day.
James Ganz said he was initially told by doctors that he has only months to live, but that was nearly 2 years ago. A trio of Rio Rancho students are being charged with allegedly spearheading a cyber attack from school computers. According to the Journal, 3 Cleveland high teens are facing felony charges. They're accused of helping coordinate an attack to bring down the website of baby formula company Infamil while using school computers. The district isn't saying how it's punishing the teens involved. Well, 1 person is dead and 9 others are hurt after a shooting at a kid's birthday party in Detroit. Police say about 400 people were gathered for the party. They say 10 adults were shot, 7 men and 3 women. A 20-year-old man died in the shooting and 1 person remains in critical condition. No word yet on any suspects. And 7 people, including an 18-month-old, were hurt in a shooting in Philadelphia last night. Police say someone opened fire at a picnic around 10, striking 4 adults and 3 children. They say they don't believe the shooter was attending the party at the time, but may have been there earlier in the night. Well, 2 state lawmakers have been named to a national Republican group seeking to recruit and train more diverse Republican candidates. Officials say a representative of Los Lunas and Kirtland will join the Republican State Leadership Committee's Future Majority Project. The group's goal is to recruit 250 new diverse candidates and see at least 50 of those elected to office. And someone is threatening the state's Public Regulation Commission to approve PNM's plan to redo the San Juan generating station. The PRC was supposed to decide if they were going to give PNM more time to complete contract agreements, but that hearing has now been delayed. According to the Santa Fe New Mexican, 1 commissioner received 2 phone calls about a week apart. The caller said they would shoot them if the plan wasn't approved. Now, state officials are trying to trace the calls. There will now be heightened security at all meetings on the issue. Well, coming up new this morning, Bernalillo County deputies say they've arrested a group of people after they prompted a SWAT situation late last night. Deputies say they were called to the 600 block of Sunny Slope in southwest Albuquerque. They say 1 out of the 4 suspects refused to come out of a home, and at one point they heard a gunshot. After several hours of negotiations, SWAT team members managed to get inside the home and found the last suspect with what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It's not clear how he's doing. We'll continue to update this story as the information becomes available. Also new this morning, we're working to find out more about a fire at a home in southwest Albuquerque. The fire broke out around midnight at a house near Lead and Broadway. Now, it's not clear if anyone was inside at the time. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you updates as the information becomes available. Española's Fiesta Queen has been stripped of her crown after Angelina Vigil's home was broken into and the crown was stolen earlier this week. She made snide comments about Española on Facebook. Police tracked down the people who stole the crown and got it back. But since then, there has been a push to strip Vigil of her title because of her harsh words. Now, she did publicly apologize, but it seems that wasn't enough. Last night, the executive council for the Fiestas decided to take her crown away, saying they felt it was in the Fiestas' best interest and for her safety. Now, there will be no La Reina this year because of it. The man police say was caught on camera taking a rifle from an Albuquerque home did it for a reason you wouldn't expect. Earlier this week, we showed you this surveillance video of a man taking that gun, 2 Mac Pro laptops, and a PlayStation 4 from a North Valley home. APD says Eric Pacheco turned himself in Friday after that story aired. According to a criminal complaint, he told police he needed money for a trip. Well, in court yesterday, an unusual revelation about Pacheco's past.
For Mr. Pacheco, there is no known criminal history that is neither misdemeanor nor felony, and there is no known bench warrant history.
Although the items Pacheco is accused of stealing were worth more than $6,000, he told police he sold them for just $300. Well, 2 cousins who were among the victims killed when a balcony collapsed in Berkeley are being remembered. Yesterday, funeral services were held for 22-year-old Ashley Donahoe and her cousin, 21-year-old Olivia Burke. Now, family members say the women were inseparable, even as children. Now, 6 people were killed on Tuesday when the balcony collapsed at an apartment complex. This morning, authorities in New York are investigating a possible sighting of 2 fugitive killers. State police say they got a lead that the 2 might now be about 350 miles from the prison where they escaped near the Pennsylvania border. Now, David Sweat and Richard Matt have been on the run for 2 weeks now. Yesterday, officials announced a corrections officer was placed on administrative leave as part of the investigation into the men's escape, but have not said why. A huge animal cruelty bust in southern New Mexico after Doña Ana County deputies seized 100 animals. Authorities searched the property last week south of Las Cruces and found 8 goats, 9 dogs, 2 cats, 16 ducks, a chicken, a rooster, and nearly 70 pigs and piglets. It took about 13 hours to collect the animals from the 1-acre area. Authorities say the owner didn't have permits for the animals. They are now in the care of local vets. A highly anticipated 1,000-foot slip and slide will be open again today, but so far it's getting mixed reviews. The heat added to a collection of problems for sliders. One girl passed out from the heat while waiting in line, and another man injured his shoulder on the slide. Several parents are telling us this isn't worth what they paid.
I've seen several people get hurt already, and people are just, nobody's really having a good time.
No shade to stand in, no that long of a line in the high desert. No, people are feeling sick.
Another issue we heard, the location. Some say Clark Carr isn't steep enough to slide all the way down, and finding parking within walking distance was a big problem. And we did find people who say they had a blast and would do it again. You have one more chance to see for yourself. It opens again at noon. Rail runner riders are getting quite the experience this weekend. As News 13's Candace Hopkins explains, they get to see a show on the go.
I like to call this like down and dirty theater because it's not in a theater where there's an audience who pays.
Well, it's actually not in a theater at all. Saturday, UNM students boarded a rail runner train, hoping to spread their love of the performing arts to a fresh set of eyes and ears.
It's a really fun way to bring theater to people who might not normally see it, and you have this like built-in audience on the rail runner of people that might not be expecting it.
Audience members filled the train's back car to see the group perform scenes from 3 Shakespearean comedies.
And she would have me.
Some came for the performance, but most just happened to be on the train. Not necessarily an ideal atmosphere for a live performance.
I mean, we did rehearse on the train and did all of these, but I did not expect it to be as shaky as it was, but it was fun to adjust while you're also trying to do the scene.
At that point, all of your like technique and a lot of your, it's just like you leave it to muscle memory.
But shakiness aside, both the performers and their audience appreciated experiencing the classics up close and personal.
It's much more intimate, and you can kind of gauge a lot easier how the audience is reacting to things. So you can kind of tell right away, oh, these guys can't hear me, or oh, they really like this, let's milk it.
It's pretty fun to, be right up there while they're, playing all the things and stumbling around.
That was Candace Hopkins reporting. Now, if you missed yesterday's performance, don't worry, you'll have another chance. The actors will be back on the train to perform again on June 27th and July 4th. This is the 5th year for Shakespeare on the Rail. 100 new jobs could be coming to Albuquerque thanks to a couple's in-home light show. The Albuquerque natives got the idea from holiday light shows like these, where thousands of lights are strung together and tuned into a particular song. Their product, called Genesis, is a home light show system. Now, each light on a Genesis strand is programmed to play a specific tune. All you have to do is plug the lights into the system, pick a song, and you get your very own in-home musical light show.
For most families, trying to do some big event like that, it's not possible. So this was an opportunity for us to bring it into the home and make it affordable.
The couple is launching a company in the hopes of building a manufacturing plant in Albuquerque. The first product rolls out in November. Well, some people in Albuquerque managed to cool off this weekend with some food and a beer. Yesterday was the Celebrate New Mexico Food Truck and Local Craft Beer Festival at Balloon Fiesta Park. There was live music with more than 30 local vendors. People we spoke to say they'll try it again next year.
A lot of really good food, really great local food trucks around here, a lot of great beer.
The beer is ice cold, the food is good, and the sun is hot, and rock and roll. It's a fun day out here.
Some of the breweries that took part in the event included local favorites Kelly's and Santa Fe Brewing Company. A New Mexico